Wes Anderson is back with another movie, but does it stand with the rest of his work? Let's talk about the Phoenician Scheme.
Phoenician Scheme is written and directed by Wes Anderson. It is his 12th and latest movie in his nearly 30-year career, and just like the rest of his movies, it stars a huge ensemble cast, this time led by Benicio del Toro, who plays Zaza Corda, a wealthy businessman who appoints his only daughter, Anan, as his sole heir to his estate.
If creativity applies to one director, it's Wes Anderson. He's not only one of my all-time favorite directors, but I can also consider him as a true cinematic auteur. His style is unmatched, from whether it's his vibrant colors, his emphasis on symmetry and long takes, his unique soundtrack, his whimsical narration, his deadpan humor, his quirky dialogue, and his recurring themes on dysfunctional and whimsical characters. His style really is unmatched, and so far, at least in his nearly 30-year career, he is yet to make a bad movie. Even his worst one, which probably is his first movie, Bottle Rocket, is still a good movie. And leading up to the Phoenician Scheme, I've watched every single movie of this guy's work. And stay tuned to the end of this video, because I will be ranking every single movie of his career, including the Phoenician Scheme. Every time this guy makes a new movie, it instantly captures my attention. And the Phoenician Scheme, just like the rest of his work, was one of my most anticipated movies of this year. However, I was a little bit cautious going in this, because his last couple of movies were becoming a bit too abstract, and the style was starting to overcome the substance, as I said, with his last couple of movies. And the Phoenician Scheme is no exception.
So let's get the obvious out of the way first. It's a Wes Anderson movie, and with that I mean that if you love this guy's work, then you're going to love the Phoenician Scheme, and it has all the signature notes of what makes a Wes Anderson movie, and aesthetically, this guy can do no wrong, as expected. So if you want symmetrical shots and composition long frames, this movie has it. If you want highly meticulous sets, this movie has it. If you want a unique narrative style, this movie has it. If you want snappy dialogue, this movie has it. If you want quirky characters and deadpan comedy, this movie has it. And on the subject of the characters, if you want an ensemble cast, this movie absolutely has it. I mean, just like the rest of Anderson's work, the cast is stacked full of talent with this one. And in terms of performances, no one puts a foot wrong. Benicio del Toro as our lead, Zaza Corda, is great, very compelling, and he really gets into his character that not only is incredibly deadpan, but also very ruthless, cutthroat, and a very despicable businessman who obviously is working on his most important project to date, alongside his daughter's sister Liza, who is played by Maya Stapleton. And I believe this is her very first role to date. And for a first role, it's very, very convincing, full of charm, and definitely not the last that we're going to see from this actress for sure. As from the rest of the supporting cast, Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks have, in my opinion, the best, a very standout scene in the first act of the film, involving a game of basketball in exchange of hand grenades. That really probably is the funniest scene of the entire movie, and it really summarizes how incredibly quirky and deadpan Wes Anderson's comedy is. In a film where the comedy, surprisingly, is quite lacking here, which I will get to very later on. But however, the standout from the supporting cast is easily Michael Cera, and this is a guy that I've been dying to see him in a Wes Anderson film, and even though he's late to the scene, he knocks it out of the park here. His accent, his Swedish accent, alongside his signature awkwardness to his character, definitely makes him a big standout, and he delivers probably the funniest bits of the entire film. Outstanding performance.
So aesthetically, this movie is fantastic, but at the same time, this also leads me to my point that the Phoenician Scheme is definitely one of his weakest films to date. And the issues I have here are definitely lean towards the script. It's half-baked, and it definitely lacks the emotional depth and resonance that that the rest of Wes Anderson's films have had in the past.
So on paper, there is potential because West is trying to tell a story on the complexities of power and wealth, excess capitalism, and also the search for redemption. Because there's obviously a plot going on against Zaza Korda, who's our main protagonist, and in fact the main meat of the movie is a project that is not only large scale but also complex. There are multiple business dealings taking place during the film, as well as subplots and characters and multiple characters present. And you definitely need more than a single viewing to understand what it all means. At least that's from my own perspective. And it's half-baked because there are some scenes that either lack a clear explanation, there are some subplots that are completely unnecessary, in my opinion. The emotional impact as well as the comedy is very, very lacking here. And for me, this really feels like the style is taking over the substance, and this is the third film in a row now from Wes Anderson that the style has taken over the substance. And yes, it's a gorgeous film to look at, but its effect now is starting to run out of steam, and it feels like you're eating a delicious burger, but you want some more variety from that burger. Even pace-wise, it's very, very slow moving at parts, and there were a couple, and during the second half of the film especially, the movie started to lose a bit of my interest, which is very, very uncommon for me in a Wes Anderson movie. So yeah, overall, not a bad movie by any means, but compared to his rest of his work, I am disappointed with this, not gonna lie. And I really want Wes for his next movie to change it up a little bit. I really want to see him do a horror movie next, but at the same time, I highly doubt that he's gonna change things because he wants to stick to his style. But again, as I said, it's starting to lose its effect now. However, I do feel that on further rewatches, it might grow on me a little bit. Maybe I need like 2 or 3 viewings to fully get the whole meaning of the film. As of right now, I'm giving this movie a 65%.
So those are my thoughts on the Phoenician Scheme, guys. If you've watched the movie, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the comment section down below. And with that, let's jump straight into my Wes Anderson ranking. I'll be ranking all of his main films from worst to best. I'm not gonna include his short films, and I'm also gonna go through these very, very quickly because if I would do a full review on all his films, it would take me another hour. However, I will be leaving a link on my Letterboxd written reviews online. I'm gonna be posting the link on the description of this video. So that, I'll start with the worst, which for me still remains Bottle Rocket. Decent film again, but the issue is that it's a first film, rough around the edges, story-wise, character-wise, and even structure-wise. I would then go with Asteroid City. One half of this film is excellent, the other half I found it completely unnecessary. Again, more of those details in my written review and in the description of the episode. I would then go with the Phoenician Scheme. After that would be probably Darjeeling Limited, very underrated film in my opinion. However, I think it story-wise and emotion-wise lacks a little bit from his other work. And go with Isle of Dogs, followed by Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and then I would put Rushmore, a bit of a controversial one there because I know it's beloved by a lot of people, but I think there are a couple of films that I think surpass Rushmore in terms of its quality. I would have put Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar in between, but since those are a series of short films, I'm not including that in the worst. But if I would have included that in this list, it would probably be somewhere in the middle. I would then go with this gets tough now. Probably I would go with French Dispatch. For me, his most underrated film and his most gorgeous of his entire filmography. Obviously, the style overcomes most of the substance here, but I was blown away by what I was seeing in front of my screen with the French Dispatch. I would then go with Moonrise Kingdom, excellent film, very unique castaways, runaway / love story in that film. And then my top 3, in case I might forget a film here, but no, in case of that, I think my top 3 would be Fantastic Mr. Fox, the Royal Tenenbaums, and the Grand Budapest Hotel, which is obviously the film that introduced me to Wes Anderson. All 3 films for me are 100%. They're perfect films in my eyes. But if I would choose a personal favorite of the 3, it would definitely be the Grand Budapest Hotel. So those are my rankings, guys. As I said, the detailed reviews are written in my Letterboxd reviews. Links are in the episode in the video's description. If you want to see more of this content, hit the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you for the next episode. Peace out.